Welcome to my wonderful floral workshop, you very, very special people. Now today I'll be demonstrating how to put together a bridal posy. Can't wait to get started. It's so simple, all the steps are step by step, easy to put together steps. I promise it's going to be very easy to put together. Now the floral arrangement that we're going to be making is a Radial handheld posy. So it's not one of those, waterfall arrangements which are wired. It's really, really simple to put together, and you can get it put together just under 20 minutes, I promise. Now the flower that I'm going to be using in today's floral workshop is Sweet William. It comes from the carnation family, and that's how you spell it up on the board. The equipment and the sundries that I'll be using today is the secateurs, scissor, pearl tip pens and pot tape. So not a lot of equipment to be using, and that's why I promise you it's going to be really, really easy and fast to put together. Now over to here, I've gathered all my flowers together. I'm only going to be using one type of flower. This is the Sweet William. How gorgeous is he? Now, Sweet William is going to bring you joy, love, romance into your life. It also grants you wishes. So if you're walking down the aisle holding the posy of Sweet William, all your dreams are going to be coming true with all the wishes that you have in your heart and in your mind. Holding on to these flowers are going to make your wishes come true. So as you can see here, I've got the bunch of Sweet William, and when you purchase it, it's always bundled up, and you can see an elastic band holding it all together. Now what you need to do, using your secateurs, you need to cut through that rubber band like so. I'm going to place the bunch of Sweet William on the bench like that, and just open up the bunch so you can see all the stems in front of you. And I'm just going to show you how to groom a Sweet William stem, and most of them look like that. So as you can see there, I'm removing all the leaves because you don't really need them in this arrangement that we're going to be putting together. So I'm just taking all that off. I might leave that one there, and the reason, because it comes flush with the cluster of the main Sweet William, so I'll just leave that there. But if it was anywhere shorter, if it was down a little bit, I'd be removing that. So that's my first stem, my second. Now with these small bits, don't throw them out. They come in really handy when you're making a floral buttonhole or a floral crown. I don't really throw anything out. I like to recycle everything that I play with. Okay, so see that comes just a little bit under. That needs to be removed because it wasn't up high like that, it came down. So when it's down like that, it needs to be removed. I'll just remove a few extra leaves like that. Moving on. So you should have in each bunch, I'd say easily 15 stems. And to make this floral posy, you need at least a minimum of 3 bunches of Sweet William. So I'm just taking that off. Gorgeous. Can't wait to show you how to put it all together and how it spirals as well, and it sits on its own 2 feet. Can't wait to show you that. Now that I'm going to leave that there, but see how that one there is a bit damaged? So just cut into that, just to make it all nice and pretty. Sweet William comes in different colours. It comes in white, it comes in purple. This is like a dark fuchsia colour, and I'm using it because pink is one of my favourite colours. So don't tell anybody. Just remove that. Now the colour pink, speaking of the colour pink, did you know that the colour pink manages aggression and it manages anxiety as well. So especially if you're a bride and you're walking down that aisle and you're thinking, oh my God, everyone's staring at me, and you start to feel all nervous and anxious, well, rest your eyes into the colour pink, which is going to be your bridal posy, and the colour pink will take care of it. Don't you worry. So with my students, when they come and get floral with me, I've had a handful of them who get a bit anxious when they're putting their flowers together. So I get my colour chart out if we're not playing with pink flowers, and I get them to concentrate occasionally on the colour. And yes, just like music, fragrance manipulates your mood, so does colour, people. It certainly manipulates your mood. So you need to understand when you're planning an event what mood you want to create in your space, in your audience. So if you want your audience not to be aggressive and anxious, well, pink is going to really be the colour that you need to consider. Now, pink has a cousin, and the colour is red. So for the people in your life who lack excitement, I recommend you encourage them to buy flowers the colour red, because what the colour red does, it increases your appetite in anything that you want to do. Yes, it does increase your appetite in eating. So if you have a red kitchen or a red fridge, you need to get rid of that if you want to measure your weight. But the colour red increases your heart rate. And I'm going to keep it PG, but it also inflates areas of interest in a male's body. And I won't go any further than that. I'll leave the rest to your imagination. So yeah, red, pink together can really, really exercise a lot of emotion, So we want the groom to be excited on the day. So think the colour red when it comes to selecting flowers for his buttonhole. Okay, we're almost there, you very special people. Just on my last, I think, 3 stems. And then very, very shortly, I'll be showing you how to construct a radial posy, bridal posy, that is. How exciting. Okay. Now, if you don't want to use Sweet William, you can use other cut flowers like roses. They're very popular. Peonies, to get that radial effect, that look. Any cut flower which presents round, and a gerbera is also round or domey looking in shape, is what cut flower you need to be focusing on in order to create, you know, that radial look that you're after for a handheld bridal posy. Okay. Now I know these stems are a little bit more shorter than the others that I've groomed, but I'll be using them on the outskirts of the posy, and I'll demonstrate how these stems are used later on in the workshop. Now I've made a mess on my bench, and it's time to clean my bench. So there's my bin. Here we go. All right, it's time to get started. Okay, make sure your hands are dry. Okay, now this is some Sweet William that I groomed earlier. As you can see there, all the leaves are off, and there are 2 bunches groomed in this bucket of water, and I've just groomed on camera another bunch. So in total I've got 3 bunches. Now I may use all of it, or I may use 3/4 of it, so we'll see how we go. Yeah, now I'm just going to turn my back to you guys just for a moment, because I'm going to draw on the board very shortly how you start a bridal posy. So you should always have a stem, and then number 2 stem comes in on the side like that. And I'm going to demonstrate what that looks like. Okay, so stem number 1. Now if you're right-handed, you need to hold it with your left hand, okay? So with my right hand, I'm going to select my second flower, which comes in on an angle like that, and you position it in front, not from the back, in front to create the letter X. Can you see what's happening there? Okay, so moving on, that's the third one. And now I'm going to tighten it up and bring my fist and grip it around that area. I'm just going to push them down a little bit. And I'm going to always be placing my stems from the back. Okay? Not from the front, from the back. You're always placing your stems at the back. So once you've created a cluster, you need to then twist it anti-clockwise. So what does that look like anti-clockwise? I'm just going to draw the clock on the board. So if that's your clock, and that's 12, and that's 1, and that is 11, when you twist anti-clockwise. So you're going back that way, okay? So I've just twisted back to 11, okay? And then I start again. So from the back to the side, to the side. And as I'm placing my stems from the back and then to the side, I'm gathering and I'm holding the stems with my thumb and index finger. Can you see that? I'm not holding it down there, I'm holding it up here to keep it nice and tight, okay? And see how it's starting to fan out, the stems? So always from the back. So once you've created a circle, that's when you twist. So another twist. So now we're on 10 o'clock, okay? So from the back, from the back. Now I've got a gap there, so I'm just going to place that there. And you need to always keep your eye on the top of the radial posy, because you need to always have that dome. You don't want it to be flat. And I don't want you to panic if you don't have a dome, because with your stems down the bottom you can push them up, okay? I'll just get some more stems out of the bucket. Again, from the back. Now I've just created another circle and I'm going to twist it. So I'm on 9 o'clock now. So from the back, back. Every time I place a stem, I'm holding it with my fingers down the bottom from the back. Now as you're starting to go towards the outer radius of your posy, you need to then push your stems a little bit further down, okay? So if I put that up the same height as when I first started, it's going to be out of uniform. Can you see that? So we need to tuck him in like that. So I've just created another circle and I'm going to anti-clockwise twist. So I'm, I think, at 8 o'clock now. So when you're towards the outskirts of your posy, you need to start now pushing your stems on the outskirts further down, because you want to create that shape, that radial shape. Now that's gone a little bit down. Can you see that? I'm just going to push that up. And I'm doing that by moving the stems behind the scenes, okay? So I'll just push that up, because I need to get the shape right. And as you can see there, it's coming together. And don't be afraid to push down like that, just to make sure your shape is perfect. Okay, so now I'm just going to turn it around to this area because my shape is not exactly how I want it. I've got a big patch there and I've got to attach that there. It's a bit like a puzzle. And see how I've got a gap there? So wherever there are gaps now on the outskirts, forget about the clock going from 12, 11, 10. Now you've got free range to twist it to your liking, to where you see gaps, to fill in the gap with a stem. Okay, so I've got a gap there. Push that out a bit. Push that up. I've got a gap there. So I might just add that on the side. Oh my God, I'm getting clucky. Here comes the bride. I love weddings. I don't know about you, but most of them, when I go and attend and I make, flowers for the bride and her bridesmaids, and I get invited to the church, I cannot help myself. I have to cry, especially when they're taking their vows. It's so special, and I'm very honoured, to have made so many bouquets for brides. I mean, what an honour, they come to you, with so many ideas, and, it's their biggest day in their whole life, and I'm a part of it. It's just great. Now this bridal posy is not going to have any foliage on the outskirts, because I'm just going to try and keep this workshop really, really simple. I'm just going to attach another stem there. And maybe around this section, because it looks a bit bare. So I'm just bringing that up. How's that looking? You're loving that? It's just gorgeous. Now, like I said to you earlier, don't be afraid to move the stems up or down, so you can get the shape that you really, really want. So that one there is just a little bit out. I'm just going to push him down. Okay. And this one I'm just going to push up, because it's gone down a little bit. Wow, that is so special. So like I said to you earlier, Sweet William grants wishes. So if you've got a wish in your mind, I want you to stare at the flower, have a moment, make a wish, open your eyes again. And it says in the book of angels that Sweet William is going to make your dreams come true. So there's a gap here. I'm almost done, almost done. Now, like I said to you, I had 3 bunches of Sweet William, and it looks like I won't be using all of it. Now, if you let go of this posy, it's like letting go of a 4-year-old at a circus. So you've got to be very, very mindful with not letting go of the stems, because then you're going to lose all that hard work and you'll have to start all over again. Okay, so that, we're almost there. So can you see that it's quite round? Can you see that? Now it goes out a little bit there, so I'm just going to push it in. Is there a little... No, I need a very fine one. There you go. Okay, so that's done. So the next thing you do is that you look for the shortest stem in the cluster of stems that you've got down the bottom, and you then, so I've selected it, it's that stem there. So once it's been selected, you need to then cut all your stems to that length. And I encourage you, because it's your first time, to cut your stems one by one. As you can see, I'm cutting 2 at a time, but one by one if you're a beginner. So just like that, one by one. Oh, that's 2. Make sure you're holding onto your stems at the top very, very firmly in this exercise when you're cutting the stems down the bottom. Very, very important. Now, if you lose the shape, don't panic, okay? Because you're able then to move things around, okay? Just like I am at the moment, I'm just moving things around. Okay, next step, you need an elastic band. So you need to attach an elastic band to 2 of the stems, because if you attach it to one, you're going to snap it because their stems aren't that strong. So I've attached it to 2 stems, can you see that? And then I'm going to go around all the stems. Make sure you pull your elastic band as you're going around. And I'm going to attach it onto 3 stems as I end. And it's going to rest like that. So once your elastic band has then rested, I'm going to cut my stems again just to make them even. There we go. Cut these a little bit. Now remember I said to you, Sweet William is a very good boy and he stands alone and strong. That's what I mean by standing alone. How good is that? Now because it's a bridal posy, I'm going to now share with you how to cover up the stems. There are brides out there that love the stem look, and all you've got to do is attach a beautiful bow at the top there, and you know that's enough. But what I'd like to show you is just a little bit more technique to the bridal posy. So I've got some pot tape here, and I don't need much, about maybe 30 centimetres. Give it a bit of a haircut. Make sure your hands are dry when it comes to pot tape, yeah? So what I'm going to do with the pot tape is I'm going to rest it on the elastic band. Can you see that? I'm resting it on the elastic band, and then I'm just going to go around like I did with the elastic band. Just like that. And while you're going around, special people, make sure you're pulling it as well, okay? And I'm almost done. Oh, how good is that? Now that's so firm. And notice again, it's clustered the stems more tighter at the base. So I'm just going to give it another haircut just to make it even, the stems. Okay, so I'm just going to leave Sweet William standing there on his own. He's such a good boy. And I'm just going to move on to now my ribbon. And my ribbon, I'm using gold. Doesn't get better than gold, does it? Okay, now using my scissors, not your secateurs, your scissors, I'm going to cut it into the ribbon. So 30 centimetres. Oh. Here we go. So that's then going to go onto Sweet William. So I'm going to tie it at the top. Can you see what's happening there? I'm going to make a knot. There we go. And this is where my pearl tip pin comes in, because I don't want that knot to go anywhere. I'm going to place my pin into the ribbon, which then goes into the stems, and that ribbon now is secure. It's not going to go anywhere, yeah? I've just got a bit of water on the ribbon. Now, I'm just going to cut some more ribbon off, about 50 centimetres worth of ribbon, using my scissors again. And I'm just going to make some bows. So make sure you've got, I'd say about 15 centimetres worth of ribbon hanging down like so. And from the back, we're going to make a loop. Can you see that? So a bit like a figure 8, a bit like making a bow tie. So I'm going to create a bow tie using ribbon. And I'm going to attach that to the belt that I've created and secured with my pearl tip pin, and that's going to be my special ribbon for my bouquet. Now you can keep your ribbon long at the edges like that. Just make sure you cut your ribbon on an angle just to make it look more tidy. Can you see that? And that one there needs to be tidied up. See how it's flush and it looks boring? I'm just going to make it look more pretty by cutting it on a side. And I think there's one more that I need to cut on the side somewhere. Yep, just there. So that needs to be cut on the side as well. Beautiful. And that's what a bridal posy looks like, how it's held with two hands. And if you are not ready to walk down the aisle and you're getting your photos taken and they say to you, put your posy aside, well, make sure you've got a vase with a little bit of water in it, halfway full of water. And this is how you rest your posy in the water. How gorgeous does that look? I hope you've enjoyed today's workshop, and I'll be seeing you in my next workshop. Until then, bye.